Today I'm going to be showing you how I made these, how I animated these two parts of this video. So first of all, this is the overall scene with the hammer. So right now it's just these ones that are being rendered, so I can kind of loop it instead. So it goes up, so this first part here is when it goes up, brief pause, which is the grey area, and then here it comes down. At that keyframe it hits down, and then these next little ones are quite close together, all the bounces, and then again there's this duration here where it sits still, and obviously when you play it, it does perfectly loop, so you can't really tell that it's just going back to the start. And then again, if I wanted to render more, I could extend the video so it goes along here, which is what I've done there. But for this, I just need the first few. And then the second part that I wanted to animate is this block. So rather than just have it like sit still, which would look a bit weird because it's kind of like, what's the point in it? It's a hammer hitting metal. It's not hitting anything into shape. It's just hitting a flat block of metal. So I thought if it moves, it's at least, you can kind of imagine that it's doing something a lot more than it would be if it was just sat still. So obviously this just makes sure that it doesn't move, these first two keyframes. So make sure it sits in that position. And then this one here is it getting hit down for these. It only gets hit down for 2 frames and it doesn't move very much, but it still does move a noticeable amount, obviously. Otherwise there'd be no point in doing it. And then this longer part here is where it comes back up. And as you can see, it gets back to its original position by the time that the hammer comes down again and starts to bounce off it. So otherwise the hammer would like bounce there, and it wouldn't actually hit that, and you watch it and you realise the hammer is not actually hitting it. So that does add a bit more movement to it, and it makes it a bit more plausible that it's doing something. And then there's the second part that I had to animate, which is this light. So again, this is the frame that it first hits, frame 50. If you go to here, frame 50 is where this starts to move down. So it's in time, and then when you go here, it's again frame 50 where the light first turns on, and it looks like the light for sparks. So again, these first 2 frames are just purely for to keep it still, basically. Then you get here, it hits, and then the next frame the orange light comes on and the sparks would come out in the final render when I've put the sparks animation over it. And then over these few frames it begins to darken. So starts here full brightness, which is 47, and then between each frame you can see it goes 47, 45, 40, 32, 23, 15, 7, 2 and 0. So it starts to fade from when it starts there. So obviously it can't just stay on, so because the light from sparks does fade as the sparks disappear. I did have quite a play around a bit with this keyframe in particular along here, because with this one is quite important for how long the sparks actually last. I can make the sparks animation as long as I want when I'm 2D drawing it on Blender, but if I want for the final animation, I can't exactly just speed this up or slow it down because it'll affect how this looks. So that is a bit of a problem. So it means that I need to get the speed that it fades at right now. I need to get it correct now, otherwise it will cause issues later. So yeah, so if I drag this down here, it's going to take a lot longer to fade. It'll start 50 and it'll take a lot longer to start fading, which I don't really want. I think this is kind of the point that I settled at here. So then if I look at this in the actual rendered view, it's at 0 there, so it starts there, it's off, then it turns on when it starts to bounce, and then it starts to fade until it's gone. Another thing that, as you can see, I did also make the light orange to match the sparks. and it actually this is one I need to get right now because obviously the needs to be a realistic light that comes from sparks, but then later on when it comes to the 2D drawing, it doesn't actually matter as much technically because I can always change the color of the sparks later using video editing settings on DaVinci Resolve. So yeah, so that's how I animated these two.